Okay, this is our fourth setting in the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to try to wind up the summation, and it's a whole lot of words, so I'm going to have to really move. Ecclesiastes is a profound, problematic book. It is the record of an intense search for meaning and satisfaction in life on this earth, especially in view of all iniquities and apparent abstractions that we're surrounded with. It takes the perspective of the greatest answer that wisdom under the sun can produce. But by the way, if the preacher is identified as Solomon, Ecclesiastes was written from a unique vantage point. Wow, you could say unique 16 times and not be enough times to say unique. Possessing the greatest mental, material, political resources ever combined in one man. He was the king of wealth in the earth. Only one other person was probably in the same picture as him, and that was the Queen of Sheba, the Queen of the South. He was qualified beyond others to write this book. Ecclesiastes is extremely difficult to synthesize, and several alternate approaches have been used. The one here is thesis. Now, when you talk about thesis, you're talking about dissecting the book and taking it down. All is vanity is one part of it, 1 through 11. The proof that all is vanity is 1 and 12 through 6 and 12. The counsel for living with vanity is 7 and 1. In other words, it was vanity when we was born, earthly wise, and it's vanity when we die, earthly wise, if we're not careful. Now, the thesis is that all is vanity, 1 through 11. After the one verse introduction, the preacher states his theme: vanity of vanities, all is vanity. All earthly things are vanity. Yes, this is a nice house. Yes, it was built. One little good storm can take it away from here. One match can end it, just like it had never been here. It is all vanity. It is a roof over my head right now for good. But when it gets empty and everything, it becomes vanity. And so, let's look at life under the sun, how it appears sometimes futile and perplexing. Verses 3 through 11 illustrate this theme in the endless and apparently meaningless cycles found in natural and in the nature of history, all the history past. I've got book after book after book right behind me. I got a library in here written by men that are gone. They are gone. Was their life futile? What they left behind is like the book of Ecclesiastes. Some of it is good, and some of it isn't. I got a little book right here that says The Power to Enjoy Life. A little typewritten book by Gwen Turner. I love it. It's one of the best natural books that I ever read by a man that wrote his natural life. And he wrote it from the gospel, how he was following God. And he wrote this. And it's good for us to read those kind of things. Proof that all is vanity. The preacher described the multiple quest for meaning and satisfaction and the exploration and his vanity of his own personal resources. How he begins with wisdom, 1:12 and 18, but finds that he increased knowledge and increased sorrow. When you increase knowledge, you can increase sorrow, and that can happen. Due to his intense perception of reality, he experiences just the reverse And he was ignorant as bliss. Are we not ignorant daily as bliss? We get out of bed, we run down or out of the bedroom and get us a cup of coffee and a piece of toast or something, or we jump in our car and we're early enough so that we can run by McDonald's and put our plastic in there and get us a meal that cost $7 when we could have ate at home for 50 cents. And we do that every day, and at the end of the month, when the statement comes in, you say, whew, I can't imagine. But you know that 7 times 30 days is what? That's 21. That's 21, that's $210 you could have spent in a week if you're not careful. And so you got to be careful. At the end of the month, I say it's $210 you did eating breakfast. And you could have ate it at home for $11. So our preachers move from wisdom to laughter. Hinduism is and wine. 2:1-3. And then terms of works. Women and wealth. That's chapter 2, 4-11. But all lead to emptiness. I tell you what, any man that has had a woman outside of marital, when he's married, has had a woman, and outside of his marital life, has had relations with a woman that he shouldn't have had, has put an indelible mark on his mind and his heart. Even if he asks forgiveness, even if he gets back together, he's got that indelible mark on him. Realize that wisdom is far greater than foolishness, but both seem to lead to futility in view of the brevity of life and the universality of death. It is guaranteed. Death is guaranteed. Chapter 2, 12-17. He concludes by acknowledging that the contentment and the joy are found only in God. All the women that he had, and he ends up saying it was all foolishness and vanity, pleasure of the flesh. And at this point, Ecclesiastes turns from his situation in life to a philosophical quest. That is our life. After we're saved, we need to find philosophically by reading his word and by studying. But the conclusion remains the same. The preacher considers the unchanging order of events and the fixed laws of God. Time is short, and there is no eternity on earth. 3:1-15. The futility of death seems to cancel the difference between righteousness and wickedness. Chapter 3, 16-22. Chapter 4 and 5 explore the futility of social relationships, oppression, rivalry, covetousness, power, and the religious relationship, formalism, empty prayer, vows. In addition, the world's offering produce disappointment and not satisfaction, ultimate meaning to be found only in God. We have had senators and congressmen and promise you the moon, and you did good to get the twinkling of a star from them. They promise, and they get an office, and you don't hear anything else from them that was in the realm that you put them in there for. And farmers especially have put great guys in that were going to do everything for the farmer, and they get in and they did nothing for the farmer, actually hurt the farmer. And so we see that in life, so we got to be careful. All right, the counsel for living with vanity. And we all live with vanity. chapter 7, 1 through 12 and 14. A series of lessons on practical wisdom are given in 7 and 1 and 9 and 12. The levity of pleasure seeking are seen as superficial and foolishness. Hey, if your pleasure is to go to the movie hall and watch some movie that is downgrading and a human being shouldn't even be looking at such as on there, shouldn't be listening to the language that's there, shouldn't even be in the building. I couldn't walk in that building if I was paid to. From what you're going to see and hear, even in the commercials between the movies about other movies coming out, you're going to hear every vulgar word that the devil has in a movie hall. And that's foolishness. It is better to have sober depth of thought, wisdom, and self-control, provide perspective and strength in coping with life. One should enjoy prosperity, yes, and consider in adversity that God made both. Above the twain extremes of self-righteousness and immorality, sin invades all men, and wisdom is cut short by evil and death. And the human mind cannot grasp ultimate meaning. Submission to the authority helps one avoid unnecessary hardship. I'm going to stop right there for 1 second and tell you this. When I close these eyes in death, I'm going to be facing God. I want to hear from Him. Well done, good and faithful servant. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. I am trying to be a good and faithful servant of God. That is not something that just happens. You have to work at it. But real justice is often lacking on earth. The uncertainties of life, the certainty of the grave, shows that God's purpose and ways often cannot be grasped. One should therefore magnify opportunities while they last, because future can change suddenly. I'm telling you, what you lay up in heaven is all you're going to have when you leave here. If you've laid nothing up in heaven, I don't know if you're going to be able to walk on the streets of gold. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that observation of what the Bible says on the wisdom, that there is a life that can be fully folly, and there is a life that can be found in wisdom. Chapter 9, 13, 11 through 16. And most powerful human resource is contrasted with the meaningless talk and often of fools. In view of the unpredictability of circumstances, wisdom is the best course to follow in order to minimize grief and misfortune. Wisdom involves discipline and diligence. In chapter 11, 7 through 12 and 7, the preacher offers an exhortation on using life well. Listen to this. Youth is too brief and precious to be squandered in foolishness or evil. A person should live well in fullness of each day before God and acknowledge Him early in life. This section closes with the exquisite elegy of old age, 12, 1 through 7. I'm 78. I'm in my old age. The preacher concludes that the good life is only attained by revering God. Those who fail to take God and His will seriously into account are doomed to live a foolishness and futility life. Will not wait upon the solution of all its problems. Nevertheless, real meaning can be found by looking not under the sun, but looking beyond the sun to the Son of God, the one shepherd, the one true shepherd, the one real Son to look at, who shines in your heart day and night and all the time. And if you do something you shouldn't do, it will smite your own heart. It will smite you, and it will smite him. So let's be careful to follow God the way we should follow him. We will see you next time. It's been very good to be with you. I hope this has been profitable for you in your life, and will be if you'll follow these words. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.